Adam has arrived.
Hey, Maurice and Odie gonna take over like Zach and Cody. Black and Snerdy is the best podcast. Gonna boom like Wile E. Coyote. Gonna make magic, they move like they hairy. Ain't talking about mental health, no, it's not scary. And notice she coming up with the astrology. Mo got a comic and that's the best policy. Maurice the goat, talking about animation cause you know. Odie she moving wavy like the boat. Watching some movies and she taking notes. Yeah, kick back, listen. Black and Snerdy have risen. Upload on a mission. 5 stars, never dissing. Black and Snerdy, ooh. Black and Snerdy, yeah. Black and Snerdy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Black and Snerdy podcast, the only podcast where two sexy black nerds or snerds get together and shoot the shit. I am Mo, aka Kid Licorish.
And I'm Odie.
And together we are the aforementioned Snerds here on episode 126 of the Black and Snerdy podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. We love the engagement. Reach out to us any way that you can and let us know what you think. How are you doing today?
I'm actually doing pretty well. It's a lovely Sunday. And I actually went to go see a really good movie today, which I will talk about in the things that made me happy.
Oh, okay.
But I had a lovely day in the city. I went to see a movie. Well, I met you for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to the Balmain store while I was walking around because it was when I was walking down. I saw the store was, I saw the store was there. I'd never been inside there before.
Okay.
Into that particular one.
A little bit of window shopping.
A little window shopping. You know, I took some pictures in case anybody would like to go to Balmain and buy me things.
And ball out at Balmain.
Mm-hmm. And the people there were really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave me some free perfume samples, which I was very excited about because you know how much I enjoy a good sample.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was it.
Okay.
And then came back here. I was just walking around the city, enjoying. I don't really go into the city often, because obviously, like, why? I don't need to go over the bridge. Everything I need is here in Brooklyn. Like whenever I cross the bridge into the city and I'm there, I'm like, yes, I know. I enjoy it. I love it. Like, there's so much going on. But every time I get back to Brooklyn, I'm just like, oh, thank you. Thank you that you made it out alive, or no,
thank you.
Well,
thank you, Brooklyn, for being on the other side of the bridge.
Both and two things can be true at the same time.
True.
But like one thing I was thinking of the other day when I'll talk about the things that annoyed me about going to the city, and I was around West 4th, and I was like, damn, you know, if I was going to pick an area to live, if I was going to pick like one of the top areas that I would want to live in Manhattan would definitely be around like the West 4th area.
Why?
I've always loved like the vibe, just the people. It's a very it's a hodgepodge of everyone living there. It doesn't matter like your race, your ethnicity, your sexuality, how much money you make, any of these things. Like everyone's kind of there together, but it's not nearly as like packed up and touristy as like Times Square area.
Well, obviously nothing is going to be as touristy as Times Square.
But
you know, like
in general,
there's no M&M store down in
there's no M&M store. There's no M&M store. There's
West
no Hershey store.
The Lego store.
Oh, I love the Lego store.
Yeah, I do too. I really want to, once I am financially stabilized and once we get into a bigger apartment, it would be nice to do some Lego builds.
That's what I agree. Like, I honestly, I feel like Legos have definitely been just been very innovative.
Lego.
They've been very innovative in what they've been creating, and I've been seeing like they have like little like Lego bouquets. This woman I just saw this video recently. This couple at their wedding, they had a station where you can like create little Legos of yourself
Mhm.
and then like put it up on their little wall, just like where your seating chart was.
A Lego of yourself?
Yeah, like they have to like create those little people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was thinking, I wasn't sure if you meant like the actual Lego action figures or if you meant the bricks that you can then construct into a face.
The brick. So it was like you can make those little people like Ninjago. You like the Lego movie, like you create those little people.
Yeah.
So I had that was really cute. And she had Lego flowers.
Lego flowers. Okay.
Which was so cute. And I like the new the adult Legos.
Mhm.
I love them. Like I feel like it's such one super sustainable, especially with the flowers. So you could have these beautiful like things around your
sustainable home. They're plastic.
Yeah, but like they're not gonna die.
Yeah, the Lego flowers aren't gonna die.
Is that not a little bit more sustainable than cutting down trees?
Oh, unless you choke on it.
Who's putting? Are you a baby? Are you putting Legos in your mouth? You just see a Lego and you're popping it in there?
Sometimes you just want to see what something tastes like.
I think that we need to reconfigure and
reconfigure.
We need to reconfigure and investigate.
You've never just looked at something and was like,
in your mouth.
How does that taste? You've never had that thought.
This is something that
as an adult human being.
When
obviously as children we have that thought, but you've never just considered.
When you finally get your autism testing, please tell them this.
When I was in my 20s, I saw a starburst on the ground that was fully wrapped, a fully wrapped red starburst on the ground. I picked it up and I ate it.
It being fully wrapped.
It was in the wrapper.
Does not equate.
It's not touching anything.
Put this garbage food into my mouth.
It's not garbage.
It
was a red starburst.
You're so lucky you didn't get thrash mouth. You didn't get freaking the flu or hepatitis or whatever the case may be. You just be so glad
thrash mouth.
Yes, thrash mouth. Do you know what that is?
Does it mean that I'm an all-star and I can get my game on?
No,
go play?
You can't play. Okay, you gotta stay in the.
Does it mean that I'm a rock star?
No.
Get the show on, get paid?
No.
And all that glitters is gold. Only shooting stars break the mold. And that's Thrash Mouth.
No.
That'll be the episode title.
It's Thrash Mouth. I think Thrash Mouth is it hand and foot and mouth disease or something? It's just like
foot and mouth disease. I thought that was just a euphemism for
that's an actual thing.
Somebody who says the wrong thing all the time.
Both and thrash mouth, I believe it's one of those things that just comes from like germs on the ground.
Sure.
So kids they'll be in ball pits.
Again, I have to reiterate.
And they'll be putting things in their mouth. This is why I tell you, stop putting
the wrapper
in your mouth. It does not matter.
Ate the starburst that was in the wrapper.
It was the wrapper made of titanium?
No. Why would there be metal?
Why would you be eating candy?
Imagine candy in metal.
Why would you be? You're asking the wrong questions here, buddy.
First off, that wasn't a question. That was a statement. And second of all,
you said, why would there be metal? Why? That's the only.
That was the sentence before my last sentence.
It's the only way that you would know for sure that you were protected from the very. And where were you? You lived in Brooklyn for a decade, so you were in the city. You were in New York when this happened.
Yeah, this was in New York.
So you ate a New York City ground.
This was obviously pre-COVID. This was pre-pandemic.
You could have gotten diphtheria.
It was a different time.
Pneumonia.
Things were a lot cleaner back then.
No, they weren't. They were dirtier back then. Did you not see them wash the trains for the first time in like 30 years? When
they really do be, and shout out to New York, the cleaners who clean those trains, because boy oh boy, y'all have to deal with so much of different fluids, urine and shit and blood and bile and spit and throw up.
Ugh.
Yeah, y'all have
to. They don't even get paid enough for that.
No, they do
There's
not.
no.
Well,
no.
it just.
There's no.
I think it.
No,
I think it depends on.
It doesn't.
Like.
Are they making?
No, seriously.
Are they
apparently,
$250,000 a year?
no, but they
Then
do.
they don't make
but they do have a really good overtime structure where they make time and a half, and then after like a certain
unless the
time,
original time is like $60 an hour, and then the time and a half is like $100 whatever dollars an hour. It's not enough.
It depends on what year they are in their.
It doesn't matter.
I guess MTA
unless I'm starting out making $150,000 as a base salary, and even then, that's not enough to be dealing with the biohazards that are on the New York City subway system.
Yeah, there are a lot of different fluids.
There's literally shit every time I walk to our train station. I find shit somewhere in the station.
I gotta tell you, it amazes me that actual feces is just around like any corner. And don't get me wrong, I know that you could take pets onto the train as long as they're leashed. It's not pets that are doing the feces.
This is human.
This is human feces.
We're looking at human poop on a daily basis, and you look at that human poop, and you still decided to pick up a trash bag piece of candy.
This was years ago. This was years ago.
You're justifying it now.
I'm justifying it now because
you survived.
Well, because all of the little things that I did led me to where I am today. Who knows what butterfly effect would have happened if I didn't eat that Starburst? Maybe I would have been a senator. Who knows? And then I would be insufferable because I'd just be pandering to everybody and just trying to get money and just saying nothing.
Speaking of pandering,
politics. Damn right. That's right. If you were wondering if we were going to do it, we finally said, fuck it. We're going to do an episode just about politics and the politics that's happening right fucking now. That's right, folks. You've been wondering where we stand. You've been trying to figure it out. And we're going to tell you right now, right here on this podcast. So where do you want to begin? And also this would be considered pop topics.
When you want to feel got a big deal, what you gonna pick?
Pop topics. There we go.
All right.
Politics.
All right. So we are about a week away, right?
Is it a week or is it 2 weeks?
We're
very close to.
We're very close. Because today's
Super
27th.
Tuesday.
Okay, we have about 2 weeks, or about almost 2 weeks.
Yeah, we have almost 2 weeks.
It's this one whole week and then this one. All right. We have 2 weeks before the election for president. There's election for president, but I have not looked at the ballot to see what all is on the. I haven't looked to see what all is on the ballot. However, you should know generally when you're voting in an election, you're voting for the president. You're voting for any like senators, Congress people, whatever.
Yeah, representatives.
You're also generally voting for judges and things like that,
yeah.
And maybe any local elections you might be having. And I think that it is very, very important for people to remember it does not matter really and truly who you're voting for president, because the president is just the figurehead who pushes things through. Everybody else, the House and the Senate and your local elections, they're the ones who are ensuring that the infrastructure in your area is great, that they're voting on laws that are going to impact you, and that just in general, the things that you want as a constituent are being pushed. So just remember that when you go to vote, especially for like the judges, if you're someone who cares about the incarcerated population, if you're someone who doesn't care about the incarcerated population, but are afraid that one day you might be arrested, or just the hope that, people who are going through, what is it called? Court cases are getting the sentencing, etc., that they should. On either side, you need to vote in your elections, because I'll tell you this one thing. Republicans are super organized. They're way more organized than Democrats. They're way more organized than any third party, fourth party, whatever candidate, because they are committed to getting what they want. And this has been consistent since the Democratic Republicans split in half, and we had Democrats and Republicans. So this is just a thing. They always go out for who they want. They go hard. Okay. They go harder than an HBC graduate during homecoming.
They go hard in the paint. They go hard in the paint.
Yes, they do. So just remember that. Look into your elections. You can generally find a little cheat sheet online telling you who the various people are on the ballot.
Oh, and
you should vote for.
Also, just make sure that you're check to make sure that you're registered to vote.
Yes, do that today.
Do that today, and if you're not, do what you have to do to register to vote. See where your polling place is.
Yes.
Do all that good shit. I have a weird last name.
It's not weird.
It's
unique.
It's fine. I have a unique last name. And so when I enter my information, I have to be very specific in what information that I enter so that they could actually locate me.
Mm-hmm.
I believe if I'm still registered, just like I was the last local election, I believe my polling place is
over
that
here.
School over there.
Yeah, and I think that because
have you changed your thing?
Yeah, remember because when we got our new IDs?
Yeah.
So I changed it then and updated it. But we should confirm just to make sure we're still on the rolls. You need to confirm.
What if I do that right now?
Oh, what site is it?
It is
confirm voter registration. All right. There's the USA.gov, how to confirm your registration. Oh, voterlookup.elections.newyork.gov if you're in New York.
Or NYC Board of Elections. Am I registered?
So I'm clicking on my voter.
Check online.
All right,
this. You know what? This is an interesting exercise.
Yeah, because the thing is, there are people that I have read about throughout the country, especially if you're in a red state, where they have gone to vote early or do whatever, their general.
Yeah.
That's it. Unable to find a voter record.
Yeah. Mine says records not found. I don't like
it.
I'm not
because it's the thing, we just voted when did we just vote for that last local election?
That might have been last year. There we go. See?
So what what account are you now on voter lookup? I'm not on there. Now which one are you on?
NYCvotersearch.com.
Search.com.
Yeah.
But are you sure this is
status active? Yeah.
And this is what is called a registered New York City voter election website.
Yeah,
it's not just like a regular
NYC Board of Elections. Board of Elections in the city of New York. Let me go in here
because maybe that other site just doesn't have me. But I know that in Georgia,
again, I had to put in my last name differently than I would have in order to find my information.
It's saying record not found. Why not? Let me change my zip code because maybe what happened is they didn't.
And your last zip code.
Yeah. I was so in Georgia, I feel like there was I know that people in there when they
there we go. You're still registered.
But the thing,
that's
I updated
why
my registration. I had updated it when we got our IDs. I said register for me to vote, updated. So really, I should have the same one as you, but I don't. But now it's here. All right, that's fine. I'll just go. I mean, where it is not far from us, thankfully.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do not check, you could get there and not. If you go to the wrong place, they're gonna send you somewhere else. Now, usually, election day is a day off of work for most people.
Yeah.
and usually the kids are out of school if you're in a public school.
Yeah.
So you usually will have the whole day, but a lot of people have been voting early. Quinny, KK's wife, she just voted in Texas. Now that they're back in the States, she voted there early. A lot of people are doing that because you can imagine generally on
Are they
election
in
day,
Texas or she?
Yeah, remember I told you they moved to Austin.
Oh, okay, then she voted in Texas.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was like how I used to be registered in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm from Baltimore, and as far as
New York,
as far as New York is concerned, it always goes blue. But
but the thing about it is
Maryland is where it's like kind of tricky. Sometimes it's blue, sometimes.
But even with New York,
in the last campaign hard enough, it turns red.
In the last presidential election,
mm-hmm.
majority of the 5 boroughs blue.
Yeah,
but except for Staten Island.
Yeah.
Long Island, half and half, but Long Island is a very conservative place. It usually goes red.
If you look even
upstate New York,
closer in the details, there were like pockets of Brooklyn that were red.
Oh my God! Well, this is in Brooklyn, but when I was walking today from Lincoln Center, I think I was around like 59th and 3rd, walking because I was just walking straight down.
Sure.
2 men, these 2 white men are walking past me, walking up to come, like I'm about to pass them.
Sure.
They had red hats with writing, but I'm like, it could be one of, I see a lot of those hats and people will just have like other stuff on them. And it didn't say, saw that it didn't say Make America Great Again. So I was like, I don't know, maybe it's like, there's a lot of, there could be a Bills hat or whatever, some Dodgers, because there's a bunch of different various sports going on right now. And on it said Trump 24, and I wanted to trip them, but there were these white men who live in that area.
Well, today's the rally.
Yes,
the Madison Square Garden rally.
So that, what? I'm glad you even brought that up, because I have I got a screenshot from Twitter of someone who was at the rally today.
Sure.
And they had some thoughts at the Trump rally. And these were some things that they heard and experienced while they were there.
Sure.
So Christopher Matthias at Let's Go Matthias said, so far at this Trump rally at NYC, speakers, they called Harris the Antichrist. 2, said Harris and her pimp handlers will destroy our country. Called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage, and joked about Black people carving watermelons instead of pumpkins. And this is the thing. So
where's the joke?
There are no jokes. All of these, there's nothing funny. They're all idiots. And this is a little fun fact for you. Recently, I want to say in the last few years, I learned, like, if I see something, I'm going to Google it.
Sure.
But they were talking about someone was talking about why watermelons were such a stereotype for Black people, which I've always thought was weird, because if you're anywhere in the world where fruit is available, if melons are available, everybody loves those fruits. There is no place that I have been, variety of colors, variety of ethnicities, nationalities, religions, etc., 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 and people don't love fruit. And watermelon is a universally loved fruit, whether it's regular watermelon, seedless watermelon, yellow watermelon. Like, there's only people who love watermelon, which is probably like 75 to 80% of the population, and then there's those who are like, watermelon tastes weird, I don't like it. It's a texture thing. They don't like the flavor or whatever. It's not a black or white or Asian, Native American, like anything. It is I either like it or I don't. It's a very cilantro type of thing. And so when I was reading about like why and how watermelons became such a stereotype against Black people, it was because apparently post-Reconstruction, obviously, Black people, great farmers, seeing as they were being forced into that labor for generations.
Obviously.
And so they had land, they were being farmers, doing a lot of agricultural things. And they were making a lot of money from the watermelon.
Mm-hmm.
And so in a way to curb this new economic boom that was coming out specifically for Black people, because the Black people's watermelons were better than the white watermelons. Surprise, surprise, because y'all weren't fucking farming for yourselves unless you were super poor. They were putting out this propaganda, which is not so dissimilar to the reason why, like, so there on a it's an aside, but not completely off topic, but like the same reason why we have this like war on drugs. It wasn't a war on drugs, it's a war on Black and brown people making money, because opium, marijuana, even like cocaine, etc., so many of these drugs were free and clear to be used. There were you could even look at old medicines and see how many of these things were being put in your regular like cough syrup. But because the majority of the people making money were brown and yellow and Black farmers from like the West Coast and various areas, then all of a sudden it's, oh my God, these things are such illicit drugs, marijuana madness, etc., etc. Now, obviously, marijuana is completely different than cocaine and opium, because those two things, cocaine and opium, are definitely dangerous when used in abundance and incorrectly. But when you think about marijuana, you like if anyone who's ever smoked marijuana or eaten marijuana, you could imagine or know that like it's not giving you the same type of experience because it's just a plant similar to like tobacco or whatever, but it's using these type of using people's ignorance and biases and prejudices against them, because now we see all these years later, Black people are afraid to eat watermelon outside. They're afraid to, have any sort of connection to any sort of marijuana or whatever. There's even, Trump's constantly calling, Mexicans and anyone coming across the southern border these, villains. No, not migrants, and drug traffickers and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And
hard R word.
Oh, sorry. Well, I'll cut that out. Please mark that down. But it is the use of propaganda to get people to do what you want and or disenfranchise themselves, because now you have all these people who are Black, brown, yellow, and otherwise who are vehemently against so many of these various things. Whether or not they actually care about it is up for debate, but a lot of it's just like propaganda. But fuck Trump, per usual, like that's always.
Yeah.
Actually, I could say it even more clearly. Fuck Trump. I passed the Trump Towers today and I said, fuck you. Because why not?
That building looks very gaudy.
It is. It's
general.
gaudy. It's ugly. Like, and okay, can I tell you a terrible thought that I had today?
Sure. What happened?
I was just thinking, like, if one of the on 9/11, if one of those planes could have just veered north a little bit.
Well, we didn't know at the time that Trump would later become.
But we knew at the
president.
Time.
At the time, we had no idea.
No,
we knew Trump was a bad guy, but like he wasn't in the zeitgeist like he is now.
But the thing about it is
he was the
there's nobody
dude who
hasn't known that Trump was a bastard.
Yeah.
That there's a good amount of people that knew Trump was a rapist.
Yeah, he was in New York
and an abuser.
Yeah.
They've known he's racist. His whole family, that's the legacy.
Mm-hmm.
So they could have just veered. And I know that people are going to be like, yeah, man, I hate that. That's mean. I don't fucking care. Okay. His whole family. And okay, I'll say his whole family, except for the people who are like 21 and younger. Because I mean
20 and younger.
20.
Yeah,
They're
why
not legal.
21?
Because at 21, you're now officially an adult. And you can make choices for yourself.
Yeah, that's why I say 20 and younger.
Okay, 20 and younger. If they were obliterated off this earth, I cannot tell you that I would be sad or feeling anything except for glee. And I know that's a terrible thing. And all the people that are around him. But all right, so that was at the Trump rally. Then there were some videos that I got off of social media.
Are any of these videos of him working at McDonald's? Because can we talk about how ridiculous that was? As like,
first of all, he was not
some
working,
sort of humanizing like thing.
He was not working at McDonald's.
He clearly wasn't working at McDonald's. He
Bought,
didn't know how to use the fryer.
They bought out the McDonald's for that day for him to have the photo op.
Yeah.
Compared to many other people. I mean, I think even Kamala Harris has said like that she worked at McDonald's when she was younger. Like most people, unless you are born into a billionaire family, have probably worked some kind of fast food, retail type of job. Yeah. This is not something that Donald Trump is even like, he couldn't even wrap his head around. I bet you if you asked him how much milk costs or a 12-pack of eggs, there'd be a complete, like, he'd be like, eggs, what's that? Like, he wouldn't even know because he's so out of touch. But
he might end up weirdly backing into guessing correctly about the eggs because eggs
cost
are
like $20 right now.
Expensive as shit. They are expensive as hell right now.
There's no reason a 12-pack of eggs
no sense
should be more than like $5.
I should probably pick up some eggs soon, so that I could have something in the morning to eat.
But I think there's the thing about Trump is that he's been running on this stance of like, I'm just like you. It's these elites on this side, these elites on that side, and I'm like a common man. You cannot be a common man when you've literally have never had to like really work a day in your life. And it's not even like you could say maybe somebody like, I'm just gonna pull something out of my ass. Okay. Anderson Cooper.
Okay.
Anderson Cooper is a Vanderbilt. He does not need to work on both sides of his family. He does not need to work. But he has been a journalist for all these years. And you could say, oh, Nepo baby, whatever. But I just saw Anderson Cooper out there being tossed around by Hurricane Helene because he was out there in these streets because regardless of his wealth and the fact that he doesn't have to do anything, he's chosen a job that he actually has to work. Yeah. You have to research. You have to know how to speak to people. You have to go out and like investigate things.
And by this time, he's old enough where he could retire happily. Exactly. Like he's making so much money that like if he really, really wanted to. So right now he's doing the passion of what he loves to do.
Honestly, like, there's no problem in that.
What he's really good at.
Especially because he's good at it. It's not like he's just a Nepo baby and is coming into movies and TV and journalism and not having any sort of skills. That doesn't mean I always agree with any of his takes or whatever on that side, but I can't disagree with the fact that I think that he's a great journalist. And I honestly did not even know that he was a Vanderbilt until I think I was in college or after college, because he's never written on that name. Obviously, of course, the powers that be know who he is, but it's kind of like, I mean, obviously nobody's going to not know who Malia is, but Malia, like now she's been doing movies and things like that. And she was at she had a film in a recent festival, and on it, it's just, I think it's like Malia Ann or Malia A or whatever. She's going by like her middle name because regardless, okay, obviously we're all gonna know who she is, but the next generations, maybe if they don't see her face, if they don't know her name like that, they could, if she's doing the work, people will forget that she's an Obama, because to me, The point of being a legacy is so that you have the resources to get to where you want to be.
Sure.
Which is why when you think about in the past, so many people who were artisans, writers, and doing all this like creative work,
they were doing it like with a family behind them.
They
who
had
allowed them the
patrons,
resources to do,
or they had a family, and they a lot of times would try to disconnect from their family name because they wanted to make it on themselves.
Sure.
Like people who are actually interested in working are going to work regardless of their the silver spoon or gold spoon or platinum titanium spoon that has been put in their mouth. But this is not that's not what Trump does or knows. So it's constantly just like him playing dress up and being like, oh, here I am. And I think, okay, you're going to like this video. Because it's one of your favorite, or I don't know if he's a favorite, but a wrestler that you know and love.
Oh no, is this the Undertaker thing when he went on the Undertaker's podcast?
God, no.
Okay.
But this is a video that I saw online I wanted to share.
Thing that Donald Trump has ever done is divided this country. America will only be great if you vote for me. And that's bullshit. It's not making America great. It's making Donald Trump great. Vote for me so I can pardon myself, do anything I want, and get away with it. Just a regular guy. But when I look up the definition of narcissist, this is who people want running our country. Everything he loses is rigged. When he won in 2016, because he lost the popular vote was rigged. What a whiny little bitch. The fact that he was convicted of 34 felonies. It was rigged. Guilty of fraud because it was rigged. I know why he's so proud turning up Roe versus Wade. And the reason is because he's a massive piece of shit. This dude got laughed out of the United Nations. That says a lot. It's gotta be the system's rigged. I hate Taylor Swift in all capital letters. Who's more American than Taylor Swift? Nobody. Talking about Governor Whitmer, he was asking for federal help. He wouldn't return her phone call because she hurt his feelings. Can you think of anything more un-American? Shit all over Obamacare, promising that any week release his health care plan. And next week, we're going to have something very shortly. It's like nothing you've ever seen, except it never fucking came. We love our country so much, stop fucking shitting on it. I'm like Ali right now. Make America great, let's stop all this hate. Love America again.
That was Dave Batista basically going in and kicking Trump's back in while he was exercising. I think that's so fucking cool.
I mean, it's Batista. I only want to push back on one thing that he said.
Okay, what was that?
Who's more American than Taylor Swift?
Beyonce. Of course you were gonna say Beyonce.
I mean, what do you mean? Who are you talking about? Beyonce.
Of course he went to the whites.
I have not been able
more American
to go through a store of like a fashion retailer and not find something silver, not find something cowboy coated. Okay. Beyonce literally, she does one single thing and the whole landscape is changed. Good or bad, whatever, it doesn't matter if you like her or not. It just matters that when she says or does something, people listen. The Beehive are strong. They are around the world and they're multifaceted, multi-generational, and multi-ethnic. So that's it. But I think Dave Batista, one thing I would say about him is he definitely surprised me of his political leanings.
Why? How did that surprise you?
Well, not specifically just with Trump, but even like a few years ago. So I want to say Batista is Filipino and white.
He's something. He's definitely spicy.
He's Filipino,
he's spicy
for sure. But I think he might be Filipino and white. I don't think both his parents are Filipino. And so
I'm gonna look it up right now. As a matter of fact, I'll look it up on my laptop.
I forget the name of the Philippines president.
Dave
Hold on.
Batista's. There we go. Okay, he's American. All right, he is American.
So a few years ago, Manny Pacquiao, who's a Filipino boxer, obviously, if you probably have seen him before, if you are, pay attention to sports,
Greek and Filipino.
Greek and Filipino, so very spicy.
Yeah.
Well, he's Asian, so he's not white. So he's like a spicy white and Asian. So Manny Pacquiao, Batista had a tattoo of him.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it was like in 2016, Pacquiao, he has retired. He went back to the Philippines, became a politician.
Yeah.
And he was on some anti-gay bullshit. And Batista covered up that tattoo.
Yeah.
And he's talked about it, and he won't necessarily say his name, but he was like, in one of the interviews I saw of him, they were asking him about his tattoos, and he was like, yeah, I have this tattoo of someone from my home country that I really admired, and da-da-da. He said something that I thought was really bigoted or whatever, and I had to get it out of there. And it's just like, to think about it, like, I feel like when you see wrestlers a lot of times, of course, they're big, they're like strong and scary. And sometimes you don't think, hey, maybe this person's going to have a very like progressive point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But I was very heartened. And that's probably maybe like Batista even more ever since I remember watching that, because I was like, he's not anything that I expected. And this video also just kind of, doubled down on that.
Yeah. Max Caster is gay, right?
Which one is Max? Oh, the name sounds familiar. Which team is he on?
He's on the Acclaimed.
The Acclaimed. Is that the one?
That's on me, Daddy.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the guy who
Yes.
screams. Yeah.
And he's the rapper?
No, the other one is the rapper.
He's the shorter one or taller one?
He's the shorter one.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the one without the mustache.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, good for you. Batista.
Yeah, good for you, Dave. Dave. I was gonna say Dave Batista.
David, that's a cute name.
David Batista. No, Dave Batista.
But you know what? If he had came out with that name, Dave Batista,
Mm-hmm.
I would have ran with it.
It would be Thee, Dave the Tista, like Meg the Stallion or Minnie the Stallion. I'm always gonna throw in a reference to let you know who I am and where I come from. And if you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Man, that drop. No, man. No, I don't.
The only reason I would say we could get another mixer so that you can get so you can have all the drops in one little.
Yes. I have all the birthday drops still, but I need to get rid of those because some of those are kind of cringy. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. So we're not the only ones who are nervous about the selection.
Mm-hmm.
There was a French, on a French news channel. They were also discussing it. I'm going to play a little bit of the clip now. It's in French, but I'm going to have a little translation for you.
Je dirais que, quel que soit le candidat élu, il faut voir les tendances de fond aux États-Unis, qui est une Amérique qui déménage de l'Europe, qui se concentre sur sa rivalité stratégique avec la Chine, qui se tourne vers le protectionnisme. Le protectionnisme, c'est aussi l'administration Biden. C'est l'IRA, c'est les tarifs sur les véhicules électriques chinois, c'est la suite de certains tarifs contre l'Europe de l'administration Trump. Voir cette tendance de fond et en tirer une conclusion très claire, c'est que nous ne pouvons pas dépendre des autres pour notre propre sécurité. Et donc, nous travaillerons avec le président américain, quel qu'il soit, et ce seront nos alliés. Mais il faut qu'on soit capable de peser et donc d'assurer notre propre sécurité, de réinvestir sur le plan industriel, sur le plan de la défense.
Si c'est Trump, je reviens là-dessus, c'est parce que, en l'occurrence, sur l'Ukraine, on change totalement de paradigme. On a une administration Biden-Harris qui continue, et encore très récemment, encore hier, de financer l'effort de guerre ukrainien, alors que Donald Trump passe son temps à dire que s'il arrive au pouvoir, en 24 heures, c'est terminé, c'est plié, l'Ukraine sera neutre, point barre.
Eh bien, c'est pour ça qu'il faut rappeler, l'Ukraine, c'est avant tout l'intérêt des Européens. C'est sur notre continent, c'est une guerre d'agression à nos portes, avec des conséquences, mais non seulement en termes sécuritaires, mais aussi en termes de prix de l'énergie, de prix de l'alimentation, qui touchent directement les Européens.
So, obviously, I do not speak French, but if any of our French listeners are watching, I'm glad that we were able to be inclusive of your language.
Gladys, tell us what they said.
But here's like a little short translation. So at Dave Keating, he gave bit of a translation. It said, we cannot leave the security of Europe in the hands of voters in Wisconsin every 4 years. That's what the France's European minister said. And then let's get out of collective denial. Europeans must take their destiny into their own hands, regardless of who is elected president in America. And I think that it's like, when I watched that, I was like, yeah, I feel the same fucking way. I don't want every 4 years to be Wisconsin or Michigan or Pennsylvania or Texas
or Florida
deciding the president for the whole entire country.
Yeah, it's always those goddamn swing states.
And even it doesn't matter about how well people in those swing states are doing. And generally, in those swing states, it's not a lot of people who are actually like above poverty level, doing really well, all these 1%ers. A lot of people are like middle class to lower middle class and under that are voting, but because of propaganda, racism, bigotry in any kind of way, they are able to snatch folks up and get them to vote. And it was interesting. We were watching the San Minaj stand up on Netflix, which was very good.
Off with his heads on Netflix. Very well done.
It was very well done.
Very hilarious.
It was a great
I chuckled multiple times. Yes.
And
still think that he should have gotten the Daily Show job.
You know,
either him or Roy Wood Jr.
Yes. But one thing he said, he was talking about like Beigistan, which is like between the black and white people, like it's Beigistan, and that folks are finding it very interesting that the people who are in that category, especially immigrants, are coming here and voting Republican. And the thing about it is, it's not just Beigistan. Black people from across the diaspora, outside of America, Black people are very. If they were to come here, they're
very conservative. They're super conservative.
There's very similarities. I think across immigrant groups, a lot of similarities. They are definitely practical over progressive.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, most people who are from an immigrant country coming here for like a better life, outside of like outside of the wealthy parts of Europe, France, Germany, the United Kingdom or whatever, if people are coming here, they are facing terrible things in their country.
Sure.
Extreme corruption, no infrastructure, barely able to afford food and being able to get out of college, have a job. And regardless of what people might think, if you are living in America and you are even like poor or below poverty level, you are leaps and bounds over some people in the other countries who are even still middle class.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to worry about, if in majority of the places in the United States, you're not worrying about light. You're not worrying about if water is going through your pipes. It may not be clean water, but it's still water. You're not worrying about just the general everyday things that we take for granted. Those are not like top of mind. When you think about, like, my father comes from a country that was colonized, then went through a genocide, then has gone through multiple coups, on top of all the other issues that a country might normally have. So, of course, Nigerians do not care about your feelings. Like, oh, you're being racist towards me. You're like, are my bills paid?
Yeah. Am
I able to send money back home?
Yeah.
And create a life for my family, my children, and all that? It does not. I don't care what you have to say to me, because I know that here, at the very least, you might not let me get an abortion. Am I allowed to say an abortion?
I think so.
You might not let me get an abortion. You might not let me marry who I want to marry. You might not, you might be taxing me as a middle class, lower middle class person, more than the people who are making millions of dollars a year. But at the end of the day, my standard of living is going to be better. On top of being very religious due to the colonization of these countries, because the colonization, the missions, and all that have created a identity that is not congruent with our traditional identity, and that still will create a space where these people do not understand why it's important to be thinking about civil rights, because they have never had the privilege of thinking about your basic civil rights. When I cannot even feed my children, I have to send them from our home to someone in the city and hope that when they say that they're going to pay their school fees, well, if they like take care of their family or clean their house or whatever, that they're going to do that and they're not going to be, abused in any type of way, that I could send my kids to college for them to get these degrees and be able to use them in our home country. Like, those are issues that are not just because you come over here and you might look the same as someone, you're not even thinking that, especially because when you are outside of America, whatever your racial group or your nationality, if you go into that country, things are a lot more splintered. People are tribalistic. They are like, I want this for my people. I want this for my tribe. Then they come here, and of course, everyone's kind of mixed together, so they have a more progressive mindset. But the reason why Republicans are able to snatch up immigrants in the way that they do is because you hope and pray, you come here for a better life, and that's your main objective. And you hope and pray that they're going to do right by you at the bare minimum, like Hassan said, not bombing your country. But even if they're bombing that country, you're not there. So, especially if your whole family's not there, it's kind of like, I didn't like that place anyway. They did me wrong. So I'm not even going to really think about it in the same way you're thinking about it. So the privilege we have as Americans, we can't put that on our brethren that look like us or have the same sort of cultures as us, because we're not living in the same space as they are. And with the large amount of immigrants who come into this country, nationalize, and become voting members of society, they're looking for, how am I going to make sure I'm supporting my family? And that's it. It's like, unfortunately, you can't be community minded in America, because America is a very individualistic society, and it forces you to splinter yourself. And it's harder to get people who were, if you haven't been living here for, 30 plus years, you're coming straight from your country and making your life, you do not care. On top of the inherent anti-Blackness, the inherent anti-Asianness, the anti-Latino, Hispanicness, like, there's so much of that is beaten into your heads, literally beaten into you, if you're not from America and you've had to deal with these colonial masters even after you've been freed, because those are the people who ran your country. So it is a very frustrating thing to be an American, because we live on cursed land, and there's nothing you can do but hope and pray that every 4 years when you vote, that the people who are getting into power are actually going to be doing something for you. Politics. But did you see that what Trump had to say about Adams?
No, I actually didn't.
Oh, well, buckle in, folks. We have another video for you.
I don't know. Maybe it's something else, but I have to tell you, he's been really great. And he said that they shouldn't be calling Trump a dictator because it's not true. That's nice. That was nice. Very nice. So we want to thank Mayor Adams is going through a hard time with these people. These are lunatics, by the way. They've weaponized the Justice Department against their political opponent. I am under investigation more than the great, late Alphonse Capone.
The late, great Alphonse Capone.
You know, that old chestnut.
Al Capone.
Al
the
Capone.
Man who was ravaging, what was it, Chicago?
Chicago, I believe.
With fucking
Tommy guns and
shit and killing people and chopping their fingers off.
And who lost his mind to syphilis.
That's it. That's the one that died in the jail. Like, what? This is the person that that people are voting for to come into office. And this week, actually, I think it was maybe like yesterday or something. Trump was in Michigan, and he brought out several Muslim leaders who were saying that they were going to vote for him.
Mm-hmm.
And Trump was saying how they could turn the election one way or another at his Detroit rally.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the people I saw speaking was Imam. You know, Imam is like a priest, rabbi.
Yes.
In the Muslim faith. So Imam Bilal al-Zuhari said that Trump was a peace president and that we as Muslims stand with President Trump because he promises peace, not war. We are supporting Donald Trump because he promised to end war in the Middle East and Ukraine.
Do you know who didn't do that when he was the president for 4 years? Trump. Just saying.
That I saw this article after I saw this video that I'm going to play for you, and I'm just it's a hard position to come to terms with, because obviously we have been dealing with the genocide of Palestinians specifically over the last year, but also over since 1948. And so I am in complete, I understand why Arab Americans, Muslim Americans, Palestinian Americans would say, like, I don't care about what anybody's about to go through, it, like myself included, being here in America, if I can ensure that this stops. But I'm also curious, sorry. If it's like a red herring. But I'm gonna play this. Let me know if I have to cut it, because I can't remember where I got it from. But I'm gonna play.
Okay.
You've been a lifelong Democrat. Are you really considering voting for Donald Trump in this election?
I am still a Democrat, and I am not just considering it. I'm endorsing him publicly. I'm running a campaign on the ground to endorse the vote for Trump.
It will be remarkable to a lot of people that, given Trump's other policies, things like the Muslim ban that he put in place when he was president, that a young woman like you would think about supporting him.
I would live through anything to ensure that it stops. So if that means I have to suffer through Muslim bans or, restricted rights or what have you for another 4 years, I will take that. And that will be my sacrifice towards Palestine. Mathematically speaking, strategically speaking, the best way to ensure Harris loses is to actually vote for her opponent, Trump, rather than abstaining or voting third party or not voting at all.
And do you think Donald Trump will be the next president?
I would never in a million years have thought I would be endorsing Trump or voting for him. And here I am saying, I hope Donald Trump is the next president of the United States.
Okay.
Well, that was just sad.
What are your thoughts?
That was just a bit of a bummer that she feels as though she's in a position where she has to vote for Trump and suffer like these bans just for like a larger picture. You know what I mean? Like that, I can understand people wanting to sacrifice a little in order to get a lot. or sacrificing the immediate for a longer vision. Again, like I don't see where Trump has said that he was going to end this war or do anything like that. Especially because like there was nothing in place for him to show that he was like that when he was already president.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, or am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. Trump has said, publicly that he felt like Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the military should get it over with fast. And
that doesn't mean end it though.
That does
feels
not
like
mean
it means ramp it up.
That does not mean that. He said get it over with, as in murder all of them so we can get to where we need to be.
Yeah.
But he had a interview with the conservative radio host Hugh Hewitt on the first anniversary of October 7th. And okay. So on the first anniversary of what happened in Israel on October 7th of last year, he said, as a developer, it could be the most beautiful place, the weather, the water, the whole thing, the climate. It could be so beautiful. And then during his first month as president in 2017, he issued his infamous executive order banning entry for 90 days from people from Iraq, Syria, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. And then the order indefinitely banned Syrian refugees and blocked all refugees from entering the U.S. for 4 months. And in general, I think that it's difficult for me I understand what she's saying, that like I would take all of what might come here to be able to free the Palestinians of this nightmare that has been going on. However, Trump has expressed in many different ways that he's besties with Netanyahu. He doesn't care. He would do anything. Like all he cares about is business. His son, I forget whichever one.
Barron or
no. One of the ones
Trump Jr.
Trump Jr. or whatever ones. One of the fucking inbred children. They were talking about like the similar to what he said about the real estate there. His son was talking about the properties in Gaza and in Palestine, and how this was like after the war. This was going to be such a great opportunity for people to come in and buy up, which is a very colonizer mindset, which is, what we're not surprised about that really. But I think that I feel very conflicted because how right now, if it wasn't for Trump, I would just not be voting, or I would just not vote for Kamala. If we had if Mitt Romney was running right now, I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna if someone said
So if it was literally anybody but Trump,
if there was a Republican candidate who said, I am going to stop the war in Gaza and in Lebanon and in Syria, because Israel, if you don't know, has not been keeping their sights only on only on Palestine. There's the Greater Israel Initiative, and we know that they have been bombing Lebanon. They've been bombing Syria. All the adjacent countries over there are at risk. And so if I could, I would do that. But there's even if he was to say right now, oh, I'm going to stop the war in Palestine, I would not believe him because he is a liar.
Yeah.
He lied. How do you know Trump is lying?
He's a fascist liar.
He opens his mouth.
Yeah, he's a fucking fascist. He's a fucking liar who lies a lying liar who lies all the time.
Exactly. But before we get into our other candidate, I saw something on Instagram that I thought was very interesting about Black voting and why sometimes it can be hard to rally the Black vote. And I'm curious of your thoughts.
My grandmother is 104 years old
today, right?
She's alive today. Not my great grandmother. Let me break that down again. My grandmother is 104 years old, still alive with us today. She was born 7 years after Harriet Tubman died. 7 years.
Fresh.
That mentality, listen to the connection I'm about to make to you. The people who were alive in that era and still in the era of my grandmother, who is still with us today, still have the mentality that Black people should be enslaved, that Black people shouldn't have the right to vote, that Black people, in order to vote, should be reading how many damn jelly beans are inside of a jelly jar. That ideology never died. It just became covert. It was overt, meaning it was in our faces. People were being lynched. People were being attacked. 1965, Civil Rights Act was passed. It just moved everything from in front of your face to behind closed doors. So, and they have kids, and those kids have kids, and those kids are part of Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z. That mentality never died. There's a human connection and a human praxis. And those people that are those millennials and those Gen X, those people are your lawyers, are your judges, are your teachers, are your nurses, are your doctors, are your librarians, are your congresspeople. That's what that is.
No, I could see that. Like, as far as like, there are those who are weirdly, even if they don't think that they're a part of the system, are upholding the systems that exist.
Yeah, of course. And I think that when people talk about, like, they get so surprised when maybe they'll talk to like an older Black person about like Black Lives Matter or whatever. And they're like, why don't you agree with me? Like, we should all be out here fighting. But the thing about the mindset of someone who has been abused, like post-traumatic slave syndrome is a real thing. And even though we talk about that when it comes to like epigenetics, I think that's also something that is just also a mindset. Because when you go to colonized places, and I'm talking specifically about Black colonized places because I'm not from part of the other diasporas, but you will see that there are still people who believe that white is right. White people always do things better. White people are more organized. White people can do X, Y, and Z. And Black people, we always have a problem. We never can get it together. When in reality, the only reason why Black people can't get it together is because we have been consistently and systematically disenfranchised. But it's when Bob Marley said to free yourself from mental slavery, that's what he was talking about. Because in our brains, you still will have people today talking about pull your pants up, speak this way, dress that way. All these fucking men walking down steps in suits as if that's gonna change anything or make anything better. When in reality, like, that's the barest minimum. Like, that it has no bearing on who you are. But when all the respectability politics that we are dealing with today and that have seeped into our culture, it is because of the fact that we were using these to survive. There's a reason why, women shouldn't be going outside in, their hot pants and looking this type of way, because for a long time, if you came outside, if you didn't look a certain way, you weren't put together, they could arrest you and call you drunken or vagrant or whatever and put you in jail. White man could just see you walking down the street, think you're pretty, and take you, and there is no recourse. So what do you do when you're living in this dystopian society? You make rules that you think are going to protect you. And after generations of that, they don't become rules, they become traditions and like the culture, and this is just how we are when we are just constantly trying to survive white supremacy. And speaking of that, surviving white supremacy, let's jump into Kamala Harris.
I don't know if you want me to do a drop or
I mean,
not.
whatever you want to do. I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of a half. It's not a brum, 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 brum. It's more of like a brum.
Like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's how I feel about Kamala becoming president.
Yeah.
As much as like I'm going to vote for her, I do not want representation and progress.
It's
and
less that you're voting
history.
for her, you're voting against Donald Trump.
Exactly. And now, in my heart of hearts, I am hoping and praying that once that it's like now she can't say anything about Israel and Palestine for real, and without, we just need to stop it. Like she can't say any of the real things, like Israel is committing genocide. They're murdering babies. They have concentration camps, because then all those super PACs that are funding her being in office will go away. And unfortunately, those super PACs do have a huge space in American politics. So the hope is, okay, she gets into office and she actually does something that needs to be done across all spectrums. Because like you have like, was it Barack Obama was like yelling at black men a few weeks ago because he was like, if your mama's been leading that community, why can't Kamala? And true. Because a lot of the black men that I have seen have these rants about why Kamala shouldn't be president. They're not talking about Gaza. They're talking about child support and like, what are you doing for the black man? And how can we follow you? Blah, 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 blah. Which very misogynoir, not very mindful, not very demure. But for me, like when Kamala first ran, I was just like, yes, get her in there. I'm rooting for her because, as I've said before on this podcast, having a black woman, having a bison in office, like that is a dream come true.
Sure.
But I do not want representation standing on top of the graves of the countless Palestinians and Syrians and Lebanese and Yemeni and all the others in that region and in other parts of the world that are being murdered because America is funding their oppressors. And that is just something for me that I cannot reconcile that. I can't be excited about it. Like, would love to, but I can't, because if you're going to be in office and still be the same, warmonger and, war criminal that we've had over generations and generations and generations since this country started, like that is not representation or progress for me. That, like, in some ways, yes, like the fact that I see little boys and girls of various colors, like excited about having a woman president that can't conceptualize a time in their lives where a woman president seems like, a fantasy. That's amazing. But I cannot accept or condone getting that on the blood of other marginalized, abused, and disenfranchised people. It just doesn't, like, that doesn't get my rocks off. But she's what we got, like, it's just, she's also extremely qualified to be president. She's had all these years in Congress. She's a lawyer. She's been, traveling around the country, around the world, all these years, listening to people, what they need, etc. So, like, it could be the best thing we've gotten since sliced bread. Do I think it will be? No, probably be very similar to when Obama was president, and we were all very excited, and it was all very amazing. And then drone strikes, or any of the other things that you are doing because you are the president of the worst country in the world. So I don't know. What do you think about the upcoming election and having to make this kind of lesser than two evils vote.
I honestly just want it to be over with by now.
I just want it to be over.
Yeah. I want it to be over just because, like, look, I'm not the biggest when it comes to politics. I can hold my own in the conversation, but by and large, it's a topic that doesn't really interest me. Not that it doesn't interest me at all. Like, there are certain things that I have a passion and knowledge about, but by and large, I very rarely have had a civil conversation about politics where it didn't just turn into somebody on a soapbox preaching about one side or the other, you know? So, and I don't really care to be preached at in general. I don't care to just sit here.
But your grandpa was a preacher.
Yeah, my dad was the son of a preacher man. So what does that make me? grandson of a preacher man. But I do want this to be over, and honestly, it is for me choosing the lesser of two. I don't want to say evils, because one is definitely evil, one is, I would say, benign. Like benign evil, which you could argue is probably a worse type of evil, because at least the other one is overt and the other one is more passive. And you know, when passive people allow for awful things to happen. But I mean, I'm with Kamala. Like, I'm voting for her. Like, that's where my head has landed. So far in all of the elections that I have partaken in, I have been a Democrat. That's not to say I am necessarily I mean, I'm registered as a Democrat, but like, you know, I would like to think of myself more as an independent who with Democratic leanings. You know, so that's kind of where I am right now. I want this to be over. I want to find out where this country is. I also just think that this country has shown its ass so many times. What makes me think that this is going to be different just because it's a black woman like running for president? This country had a chance to have a woman president, and instead, I mean, she won the popular vote, but even still, like, those damn fucking what do you call
the
those
electoral
things?
college?
Electoral college, man.
Which is a remnant of slavery and needs to be abolished, but you know, here we are. Well, yeah, you're with her. Some other people that are with her are, I think, 19 or 9 former Reagan staffers, which does not actually like make me happy.
Doesn't really mean much to
me.
me.
Dick Cheney, of course, another person who I'm like, I would never want his vote. But the thing about it is, a lot of like old school Republicans, pre-Trump Republicans, a lot of them do not like Trump.
This version of Republican,
because the Republican Party, I think, like in general, they were definitely not the party for black people. You know, a lot of racism, a lot of bigotry, and all that.
But it was covert before.
Even if it was, it wasn't really covert.
I mean, like Reagan, it wasn't as Reagan blatant as it is right now. Reagan it wasn't as blatant.
Literally called black women welfare queens.
Yeah.
And created a system where all of the various safety nets that you could have would be depleted unless you had very specific like ways of life. Like even the fact of like when they talk about breaking up the black family, it has nothing to do with black women, you know, perming their hair or bleaching it blonde, but could be connected to the fact that Reagan pumped drugs into our communities and also forced you to not be living with your partner if you were married or not, because then you could get your benefits taken away. So, but a lot of things that he did. So I really wouldn't care if anyone from his ilk voted for me, but because they're trying, like, obviously people are excited because they're hearing like, oh, so non-crazy folks are trying to vote. Well, less crazy folks trying to vote. But some other people have been, of course, Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, Bill Clinton and Hillary, former President Jimmy Carter, who I really do not believe is actually alive. I've seen
what you think there is. What do you think? He's just like two kids in a trench coat.
I have seen
standing on top of each other.
Jimmy Carter, and it feels like they are traipsing him around in this wheelchair. But no, last time he wasn't even in a wheelchair. He was on a bed, like a hospice. He doesn't look like that no more. Go in the images.
What, this guy right here?
That's Jimmy Carter, but he doesn't look like any of those pictures. Go into the images.
Oh my God.
What he looks like.
Oh no. He looks
pictures,
like the crypt keeper.
In those pictures, he actually looks like he is like even alive. Look at this picture right here. Look at that picture right there. He looks like he is not breathing.
Yeah. He looks like he's out of it.
But I think the problem is that people who would love to go on to
People
glory.
love Jimmy Carter.
Well, yes, but people who want to go on to glory, like Jimmy Carter, who is just turned 100, is saying, "Oh, I gotta stay alive to vote for Harris," because they're so afraid to see what would happen if they didn't, which is like just insanity. But one of the biggest people to endorse Kamala Harris most recently is
okay.
That was Kelly Rowland and Beyonce. They both spoke at most recent rally in, I believe it was Wisconsin.
Right.
No, sorry. No, it wasn't. It was Houston.
Yeah, because she was talking about being Texas.
Yeah. Kelly said, welcome to this day, this remarkable, this joyous day, a moment, Houston, where we grab back the pen from those who are trying to write an American story of division and hatred. A moment when we grab back the pen from those who are trying to write an American story of misogyny and racism. We are grabbing back the pen from those who are trying to write an American story that would deny the right for women to make our own decisions about our bodies. And then Beyonce spoke, and she said that she's not here as a singer, performer, but I'm here as a mother who cares deeply about the world my children and all of our children live in. Your vote is one of the most valuable tools, and we need you. Your freedom is your God-given right, your human right. It's time for America to sing a new song. Our voices sing a chorus of unity. They sing a song of dignity and opportunity. And she also previously, before like this official endorsement, she had allowed Kamala to use one of my favorite Beyonce songs, Freedom, for her intro. And sorry, let me just see what this is because I can't. Okay. Now Ernest Owens, this journalist that I really like from Philadelphia, he put this very cogent tweet out about people voting for Kamala. And it says, 30,000 people came out in Texas tonight to see VP Kamala Harris speak about reproductive rights after she was introduced by Beyonce. If that isn't enough, I don't know what is. At this point, you're not undecided. You're sexist and or racist. Be for real, people, with the Roy Wood Jr. gif. Now, I will say it's there in this election. I will give the caveat that I don't think that people who are not voting for Kamala or say they don't want to vote for Kamala are explicitly sexist or racist. I do think there is that third side where it's that you would love to have a woman president, you would love to have a black woman president and Asian woman president. It's the fact that she has not done anything to discourage and or stop and or block the continuous aid given to Israel. Because every time Biden or Harris have given us any sort of like, what is that word? I don't know if it's not a prognosis. I don't know what that word is I want to use. Anytime they have given us any lip service about the fact that Israel needs to stop, we need to end. No, lip service.
Okay.
That Israel needs to stop the war. They need to end the war. Da, 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 da. And then the next day we find out they're just giving Israel more war materials and resources. So you can't tell me, oh, please stop killing these people. We don't like it. It's not, this is enough. And then going to put more guns and bombs in those people's hands. But Beyonce looked amazing. Kelly looked cute as well. I didn't really love her outfit. I did.
What, you didn't like that gigantic boyfriend suit that she was wearing?
Who was it? Doug, where they had the big suits?
Yeah. Drain on a trash can. Strumming on a street light. Drain on my banjo. One little voice keeps calling me. One little voice keeps calling me. That's a great ass song for
Honestly,
a boring ass show.
Do you want to know what I want? I want the drill version of that song. These little voices calling me. Little voices calling me.
Pow, 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 pow.
But I think that, honestly, you're gonna do what you want. But
yeah, I don't think that I personally don't feel as
vote.
though celebrity I don't feel as though celebrity endorsements do that much when it comes to moving the needle for a candidate or anything like that. Like, I think it just kind of is just
I do
bias.
I do think that
if you like Beyonce, you were probably already gonna vote
that's what
for
I mean. Like
Kamala. I mean, you like Beyonce, but like you weren't like, ooh, now I'm thrilled and excited about Kamala.
The only real reason I'm thrilled about like Beyonce or Taylor Swift, like these two huge names in the entertainment industry backing Kamala, is because they have a large young demographic.
Sure.
They have a large demographic of people who are not very civically minded. And people, specifically Americans, because I think that America is built on celebrity more than it's built on expertise, that folks in this generation will vote for someone because of who they like, who's voting for them. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to create the most sort of change. But I remember when Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala, and like she lost a bunch of followers and all this stuff, but there were so many young people across the spectrum who were like, oh, Taylor Swift's voting for Kamala, so I definitely should vote for her. Because especially imagine when we were 18 and we did our first voting. Yes, like I would say that I felt like I was super civically minded because I do have an interest in politics. I like in my household, in both of my households, something that we were always talking about and being mindful of. But I think that I definitely was heartened, and I don't know if I would say swayed because I wasn't going to vote for Romney. Was Romney the first one or McCain was the first one against Obama?
It was McCain.
I wasn't going to vote
and then the next one was Romney.
I wasn't going to vote for McCain. Either way, but it was like knowing that, the disgraced rapper and producer Puff Daddy, his Vote or Die campaign was, I think, very important in college campuses and, for young people, because there was like him. Remember they had that song?
I feel like the Vote or Die was while we were still in high school.
Really?
Yeah, because I remember One-on-One having an episode about Vote or Die. And that show.
Yeah, you're right. It was 2004.
Yeah. That wasn't us in college.
I'm curious why was that in 2004?
What do you mean why was it in 2000? I mean, that's just
because because 2004 was Bush.
Yeah, the Bush. Yeah.
Well, that didn't really do anything on that.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that celebrity doesn't necessarily push the pendulum
in
anyway.
that way. But I mean, I do think.
I mean, I'm sure it did wonders for helping people to register to vote.
I think for young people, specifically, Vote or Die was helpful because I remember it being like everywhere and people thinking about it. But I also remember when for Bush's election, my older sister, she and her friends were voting age. And a lot of them, I remember saying they weren't going to vote because they had been so disheartened from the Bush Al Gore when that vote was stolen. So we have a very tumultuous history in America. And I think that we like to be so cavalier and like pumped up about we're Americans and we do politics great. When in reality, like I sometimes wonder if I would prefer to be living in Nigeria because people know about the corruption. They know about all the other shenanigans and they are like, all right, well, this is what we're living with. And they make their decisions in that versus here. If you say somebody's corrupt, like they act like you are cursing them as a person. And Hassan Minaj said something I thought was very important, which I see on the timeline a lot, that a politician should not have stands. Like being a fan of a politician is not good for you. It's not healthy.
Yeah, that feels gross.
And not to say that I don't, like for me for a long time.
There's probably people that you can admire, but like to be a fan, to be a stan of a politician, like is very weird,
What's her name? Maxine Waters.
Sure.
Reclaiming my time.
Sure.
I would say for me, Maxine Waters is someone I admire.
Mm-hmm.
I would say she's someone that I stand specifically because she's an older Black woman who, for the most part, from my lifetime, has had a good record in her community and all that. So I'll be like, oh, I stand her because she's a Black woman in politics who's been in there for years and, has probably had to make some really tough choices to help us move the needle forward.
Sure.
But in reality, like, I definitely would say I used to be a stan of Obama when it's like, no, he's the president. So whatever he's doing, he's supposed to be doing. And if he's doing something that's bullshit, you should not be afraid to say it. Like, I will say I stand Michelle Obama. She's not the president.
Yeah,
she just got carried in there because she married the man. Like, she doesn't care. I might stand their children or whatever, but they're not the elected officials who are doing anything for me. So if an elected official is doing a great job, sure. Say, great job, person. Love you're doing that. I will vote for you again. That's how you know that I have become your stan. But if most people are not standing politicians because of their actual legislative record. They're standing them because they like them, like the representation. If it's a woman, it's a Black person, they're from another type of marginalized community. But that does not matter when they go into the room and start making certain choices. AOC, we could stand AOC down. And that she has made some choices that we do not agree with. It does not matter how petty she might be and funny and hilarious that she might be on the Congress floor. The one, what's her name? Jasmine Crockett, who was talking about a bad built butch body, which was actually it was funny, but we talked about this. It was also a little prejudiced and biased against women who have butch bodies. But like, I can't be a stan of hers because she is a regular person. You want me to stan you? Put legislative whatever laws
forward.
Put legislation forward that is actually going to move the needle a large amount, and that is going to ensure that people around this country, they can feed themselves, they can shelter themselves, they can send their children to school, they can pay their bills and not spend $20 on a pack of eggs. Like, then maybe I could say I might think about standing you, but it's just, elections are annoying. They're weird. We have to spend all this time leading up to the election being fucking harassed. I didn't even put this fucking screenshot, as I should have, of the harassing message that I got from the campaign that says, we've asked 6 times if you support Kamala Harris, but you still didn't complete the poll. I'm not completing the poll. And if y'all text me one more damn time, I'm not voting. I don't care. I don't want it. It does not matter how many times you text me. I'm not completing any polls. I'm not sending you any money. I'm not tweeting out any sort of anything. I am going to the polls on November 5th, putting my vote in and smoking and drinking and taking a nap because y'all have fucking stressed me out. And I can't send you any money because I don't have any money right now. Why? Because of this trash bag ass country that gives you little to nothing, regardless of the salary that you have, if you are unemployed. Because they want to force you back into the workspace, disregarding any and all bills and things you might have. So, again, leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah, they just emailed me, just vote for Prop 1, vote yes on Prop 1. I don't know what Prop 1 is, but
I don't know what it is. They're just texting me. How are you getting my number?
your ballot has 2 sides. Flip the ballot over and vote yes on Prop 1.
How are you getting my number is the question.
Oh, okay. One of the biggest abortion fights in the country this November is happening right here and now. Prop 1 ensures that New Yorkers' rights will be permanently protected. Okay. All right.
No.
But even still, I don't know how you got my phone number.
I don't
know. And I don't know why you're texting me.
I'm not even if that was giving me, like, you could be telling me the most important information
This country is
in the
so
world.
fucking corrupt.
And
Like, you know, they got it from a data broker or some shit.
They
like
stole
that.
my data
Yeah.
from like Amazon or Yahoo or something. Like, I don't care. I'm not looking at it. Stop messaging me. If you want me to vote for you, how about send me a fucking care basket? Find me a job. Lower the fucking rent and housing prices.
Yes. All those things. Do all those things
And then
simultaneously.
maybe I will respond back to your text message. Before you do any of that, leave me the fuck alone. Get out of my text message. And I hope that at some point we can do some sort of class action lawsuit to find out who these fuckers are that sold our data.
Mhm.
And then also...
Oh, it's probably, you know what? The fucked up thing is we probably gave them permission to do it.
Terms and conditions.
Terms and conditions.
Read your terms and conditions.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot to read.
It's a lot
but
to read.
You
maybe
probably should read it.
But you could probably, like, put it in one of those AI things and they'll actually summarize it for you.
Maybe. I would say get one of those like third-party services that remove your data from off these listings and stuff.
I need to get into
like
those.
Aura.
Aura, is that what it's called?
One of them is called
AURA or OURA?
I want to say OURA.
Oh, Aura Data Protection?
Yes.
I see Aura Data Protection. Identity Protection. Let me look into this.
Privacy.
Aura.com. Okay, let me look into it. Is that fucking Iron Man? Why is Iron Man on the website?
He's another one that I feel like is not aging that well.
He's old.
I know, but like,
and he's working out a lot.
There's a demarcation when you're, I guess, like in your prime, in your mids, and then it's just like this that you just get skinny for some reason.
Well,
like,
if you're working out a lot, I mean,
like it's just like the meat is falling off the bone, and not in a delicious barbecue way.
Well, we'll see what happens. I heard that I read on the AP. DC News Now is saying that apparently Howard said that Kamala is looking to host, allegedly, so she's looking to host her election night, have that as an election night venue, which I will say, like, these are the things where I'm like, this would be amazing. I remember being in college when Obama won. I did not stay on campus because honestly, I was very afraid, and there had been random white men
Yeah.
walking around campus that day.
I was afraid too. That's why I didn't go.
My mom and everybody was like, "You better stay your ass inside because we are below the Mason-Dixon line, and you don't know who's gonna pop up." So I was not on campus for the joyous, surge of
Plus,
energy.
it was cold outside. Like
it was
cold. It was the winter.
Joyous energy, and then people walked to the White House. But I did for 2 years. Well, the first year I went to inauguration and walked there and saw it, and then the second year I was I forgot what it was called, but I worked at the inauguration for his second swearing in, which it's like one of those things where I'm like, wow, this was amazing. Like I remember my mom was so excited about it because thinking about like my grandparents did not have the right to vote for quite some time. And I am the descendant of sharecroppers and enslaved people. And
sure,
it is a huge thing to be like, oh, we have this Black person in the highest office of the land. But that means nothing to me if that Black person is also continuing the indignities that every other white person has done. So,
if anything, that means that
it's worse.
I don't know if it will be. It's probably worse.
It
but
is worse because you should already know better.
There's something to be said about like finally like one of our people can finally rise to the ranks and become a warmonger too, just like everybody else. We can do it.
Equity and inclusion. So
we're just as good, if not better, than our peers when it comes to drone strikes.
So, here we are. But, of course, we are just going to see what happens.
We'll see what happens. We'll see how this all plays out.
Respect yourself, respect others. If you're going to punch somebody in a MAGA hat, please do it away from the polling place.
Yeah.
And just be safe out there wherever you are, wherever you're voting. Be safe. Try to get there early. I did see something crazy about, I think it was in Arizona, that people who were voting early and like they had the ballots in some kind of like mailbox or whatever, and then the truck caught fire. So this is the type of shit we have to think about. Like we are in precarious, unprecedented times where it's like on one hand, love the fact that Kamala could be president in some ways, but also it terrifies me because we know what happened after Barack became president. Like the amount of racism blew up to new heights, especially with progressive whites who didn't feel like he shuck and jived for them enough and then voted for Trump.
Sure.
The next round.
Yeah.
And so I'm fearful for Black women. Because I mean, even before, like when Barack was campaigning, we saw how much hate and negativity was posed towards Michelle Obama, and she wasn't even running, and their children. So that does give me fear because it's not even just thinking about like when Barack was running, of course, like Black men were going to have his back, but Black men, unfortunately, even if it's not a good portion, even if it's only 10-20%, they are very loud and wrong, and the misogynoir runs very deep, and they will be in line with the white men, and a lot of them are already in line with the white men to denigrate and oppress and abuse Black women even more so, especially if a Black woman comes into office and doesn't, stop them from having to take care of the things they're supposed to be taken care of and isn't just, kowtowing to all of their wants and needs. And then if their lives go downhill for some reason, it's going to be blamed the Black woman per usual. So, hey, we're here. And it's just, this is what it is, folks.
It's a shit show.
It's
a political shit show.
And we're the Charmin.
Yes, we're
not even the Charmin. We're the one ply.
We're the angel saw.
No, we're the one ply that was on the cruise.
Oh no,
the see-through toilet
that was
tissue.
disturbingly awful.
Well,
I think I don't know what's going on, but I think there's a maybe this was one day we'll talk about this. We'll get into this really deep dark thing where apparently when you become a certain age, you go back to single ply as opposed to the multi-ply toilet paper.
Why?
I don't know why.
Did your butt become harder?
I have no idea.
That one ply is rough.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but it there's a every house that I've gone to of people of a certain age, I go into their bathroom, I see their toilet paper, and I'm like, why would you do that? You finally have lived long enough to enjoy the little things, and this is not one of them. Like it's insane to me.
Do you want to know what would rectify that?
Multiple plies of toilet paper, or just doing this 9 times.
If we
if we
all
wasting more toilet
we all had bidets, you wouldn't be wasting toilet tissue. You feel very clean. You just have to have like toilet tissue, just more so to wipe your butt because it's wet.
That works in theory.
It does. I was just in Morocco and
I
using
think
a
it
bidet
works
every day.
I think it works in theory. It depends on the butt.
Why would it depend on the butt?
If you have a lot of hair,
that's why you're supposed to be washing it off when you're doing it.
I'm just saying, like,
why would the hair impact if you have a regular
if you have a
regular
even if you have a regular poo with a lot of hair, like that, the remnants still are there.
Not if you're shushing the way you're supposed to.
Wait, you're saying this, like, is there a handle on the bidet?
Yes. Some of them have handles. Some of them just shoot it up your butt, and
of them can be warm. I thought all bidets just shoot it up your butt.
No, it depends. It depends on where you are.
I didn't realize. I did not realize that there
were
one
of those bidets that just shoot up. That's why they have the little knobs for you to have the water pressure. Put up a big water pressure and fleet yourself. If that's the case, if you can't use a regular amount of water,
go ahead and fleet yourself. Go ahead and fleet yourself.
We're done. I don't have anything else to add here.
Fine, fair enough.
Have a great week. Happy Halloween. Look out for our costumes because we look really cute.
Mm-hmm.
And enjoy yourself. Be safe. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, send us an email.
Yes.
And just,
do all the things.
Protect your health, your wealth, your body, your mind, and just, ask the ancestors to watch over you because this is where we're at, folks.
Yep. This is where we're at. Until next time, bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the show. If you'd like to contact the podcast, you can reach us via email at blackandsnerdypodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at Black and Snerdy Podcast, as well as on Twitter at Black and Snerdy. You can find me, Maurice, on all social media under the handle Licorish is Legit. That's LICORISH is legit.
And you can find me on Instagram. It's ThatsOD, THATSOD.E. And on Twitter, THATSOD_E. And don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe to us. Tune in next time to the Black and Snerdy Podcast, where nerds of a feather rock together.
Remember,
Not yet.
No, this is keeping it. We're keeping this in. Don't forget to take your meds and your subs and drink water. Bye.
Bye.
I actually want to keep that.